Quick disclaimer, I have absolutely no affiliation with anybody from VidFlow. This is a totally independent review. I don't know anybody there and they're not at all paying me. And just to maintain the integrity of this review, there's not going to be any affiliate link down below either. So there's no incentive for me to say anything positive or negative about this company. And I hope you guys take this review as just a normal user reviewing a product he's been using for a year, because that's exactly what this is. So exactly a year ago at the start of the 2024 wedding season, I decided to give VidFlow a shot, and in this review I'm going to be walking you guys through all the different aspects of the product and what I like and not like about each aspect. So first things first, what is VidFlow and how much does it cost? In a nutshell, VidFlow is just a service that lets you deliver wedding films in a very unique and customized way, so you're not just sending a simple Google Drive or Dropbox link to your client. VidFlow lets you create a new gallery for every couple, and they get a customized landing page with custom fonts and custom colors, and you guys can have everything laid out very nicely. Overall, it looks much more professional than, again, just the simple link that we're all used to sending. Another good thing about it is that it's pay as you go, so you're not locked into a subscription, but there's a minor asterisk with that because they also offer quite a few subscriptions if you want to opt into them, and we'll go over everything in this section here. So I've got VidFlow's website loaded up here, and this is their pricing section, and essentially they work on a credit system where 1 credit is equal to 5 gigabytes of data, and you can purchase it in 5 credit bundles all the way up to 100 credits, and the more credits you purchase altogether, the cheaper it gets, so you get a bit of a wholesale deal. But if we just look at the cheapest option there, for $35 you get 25 gigabytes or 5 credits. So the math works out to $7 per credit or $1.40 per gigabyte of data if you want to look at it that way. And if we look at the best deal or the most expensive option, you're basically getting $5 a credit or $1 per gigabyte. So again, as you can see, it's a little bit cheaper there. Personally, I usually end up getting the 20 credits pack. That's just usually what works out for me, because the 100 credits is just way overboard. I don't really see myself using that many that quickly. So I just get the 20 credits there, and it ends up being $6 for 1 credit, and that's totally fine for what I need. With these credits, when you upload something to their server, it's going to stay streamable for 10 years, but it's only going to be downloadable for the first year of that. So just keep that in mind. I wish the downloadable period was a little bit longer. I would even take a shorter streamable period, even if they wanted to do like 5 years of streamable and 2 years of downloadable. I think that would have been a little bit better, but they've gone with a bit of an extreme number here where it's 1 year for downloadable and 10 years for streamable. And sometimes that can be tricky to explain to couples, but that's what it is. So that right there is where the pricing structure could potentially end if you guys just want to use the service as a way to create an online gallery, upload a bunch of things, post a nice backdrop, use some of their fonts, and just deliver it to your client that way. So the entire functionality of the product is available by just using these, but you do get a few extra perks if you guys go with their white labeling plan. That plan is $195 a year, and basically what they let you do is remove all of the VidFlow branding and just do your own custom branding. There are a few other perks, like they let you add music to the galleries, and the backdrop can be a video instead of a photo. But essentially the main feature of the white labeling add-on is to remove all of the VidFlow branding, so it looks like your company has a custom website that you guys use to deliver everything. They have recently started advertising a pro plan and an unlimited plan, but these are not active yet. You could join the wait list if you guys want, but essentially instead of a pay per use thing, you would basically get a subscription and they would give you a set amount of credits per month, and you guys can basically use it that way. Again, it's not active yet, and just looking at these prices here, this just doesn't look like a good deal, and I personally would just stick with the on-demand features where you basically just pay per use. And I personally do have the white labeling add-on as well, so when I deliver stuff to my client, it looks like it's coming from a custom website that I designed and not VidFlow. I think that the pricing for the credits is totally fair. You're essentially paying $1.40 per gigabyte, and you can basically have it up there for 10 years. It's not downloadable for that time, but I think that's okay, and I'm okay paying that price. Typically, each client's gallery ends up costing me around the $12 mark, which honestly is pretty inexpensive, and for a totally customized experience, That's very cool. So when you log in, this is what the interface looks like, and it doesn't really change whether you have the white labeling add-on or not. And some of these galleries are blurred because some of my couples have decided to stay anonymous, so I want to respect that there. And essentially, I'll walk you guys through how to create a gallery and what the entire process is like. So of course, what you would want to do is just create a gallery there. I'm just going to walk you guys through a gallery that I've already built. So let's look at this one here. So I obviously have a bunch of videos uploaded here already, but when you guys open this, it will be completely blank and you just click on upload videos and you can just browse and upload something that way. One thing that I personally don't like very much is if I use a credit inside of a gallery, let's say I use 1 credit here to upload something, that gives me 5 gigabytes, but let's say the recording was only 2 gigabytes and I have 3 left over. I can't then use that partial credit in a different gallery. I have to use all 5 gigabytes in this one gallery. So if you look in the quota usage here, it says I've used 11.1 out of the 16 available gigabytes, and I would have loved to use the leftover 5 gigs for a different gallery because this gallery is complete. I don't need anything else from this gallery. I've already uploaded everything, but that 5 gigs is essentially gone to waste. And let's say, for example, if I go to this gallery, here I had 81 gigs total and I ended up using 80.6. So this was a good use case. I didn't have much left over, but there are plenty of examples where there's a bunch of stuff left over. Let's go to this one here. Like here I have a little over a gigabyte left. So I would love the option to just have a shared quota usage across galleries, but they don't let you do that. If you use a credit within a gallery, it has to remain in that gallery. So that's a bit annoying, but that's how it's structured. One thing that I quite like about the interface is that this videos tab that we're in right now, where you upload everything, this is essentially like the back end, if you will. So just because I've uploaded something here doesn't mean that it's going to show up for the client's end. So this is where I can kind of do all of my organizing. I can name things properly, do custom thumbnails and whatnot, and it doesn't really affect anything on the client's end. So I can move things around on the back end without messing anything up on their end. And there's a totally different tab called Link Media, and it's only when I link something to this page is when it shows up to the client's end. And I can reorder things if I like. They can be in totally customizable order. Like for example, I want my feature film to be the first thing that they see, and so I can totally customize the order of everything there. So once you log into that particular gallery, this is what the landing page is going to look like. So you have a nice big preview while you're making your changes. For example, if I just take the feature film and move it down, you can see it's going to immediately refresh and it's going to change the order there. And like I mentioned before, you can totally change the title, subtitle, you can change the backdrop, you can set the focal point as to where it's going to focus on each different device. And with the white labeling add-on, you would get the video option here as well. So that would be a 16:9 video up to 30 seconds long, and it's just going to loop in the background. I personally never do this, but you totally could if you wanted to. And the music section is also unlocked with the white labeling, so you can upload a track. Again, not for me, I don't really do that. But this is where you can really customize everything. I can choose different fonts that I want to go with. In the settings tab, you have some more options like disabling the download button, so which is that button right there. I can just have that off if I wanted to, but I of course would leave that on because this is where my couples download everything from. You could have a share button or not. The TV Connect button is also very handy, which is that option right there. Essentially, VidFlow has an app for most smart TVs, so couples just download that on their TVs and it's gonna spit out a code, and essentially the couple would just go there and type in that code right here, and your gallery then just lives on your smart TV. As long as the TV is connected to the internet, you can stream everything right there on the big screen, which is very handy, and I love that they've built that into this service. When couples open their gallery on their smartphones, they also immediately get the option to just install their gallery as an app on their home screen. Again, same thing, they would just click on it and automatically takes them to their gallery. They always have easy access to all their deliverables, and given that it does stay online for 10 years, that's a very handy feature to have as well. You also have the option to have this little learn more tab where you can basically link directly to your website or your social medias, and you can customize what you want to show up there totally. And you can also change what kind of layouts that you want to go with. In my opinion, they don't really give you too many options here. It would be nice if they refresh these looks once in a while, but I feel like they just go with what works and they've just kind of decided not to change anything. So you have these multiple video galleries, 5 of them here, and it won't show up right here because I already have multiple videos linked here. But if you don't and you're starting a gallery from scratch, you will also have single video galleries, which I think there's only 2 options there. So it would be nice if they gave us like more customizability. I mean, these are nice, but I'm kind of bored of looking at the same layouts. So it would be nice if we had some more options in the future. My personal favorites are this one here, Grove. I do like Gatsby quite a bit, and I do use Mirage quite a bit as well. These bottom 2, not really for me, because I typically have the couples photo centered, and I feel like the heading there covers their face every time. So I don't use that one, and I don't really use Sierra, again, not to cover the couples photo. So I just end up using the top 3 here. Here in the delivery section, you also have a bunch of options as to who can access this gallery. So let's say if you're just in the prep stage, you can have it on only me, and then people with the link, or people with link and password, which is what I often go with. There's also an option of people I choose, which is basically they would have to make an account and they can access it that way. I personally don't use that. I like to make it as easy as possible for my clients and just give them a little bit more security with the password. With the white labeling, you can also change the URL of the gallery. So here I have galleries.dreamstonemedia.ca. That's my company's name. But if I didn't have the white labeling add-on, it would just say galleries.vidflow.co/ whatever, right? So it's nice to have that option with the white labeling add-on, again, just for that customized experience. You also have the option to embed this page on your website directly. So this page right here would just be embedded onto your website and clients can log in that way. I personally don't do that because I will still build a page on my website, but that's very sales driven. Like I want to showcase that for future clients, potential clients, and this is very much for the current client, and I'm giving them a very customized experience. So this I keep very separate from my website, and I don't really let them clash. Like here I've got like 15 different videos uploaded for this couple, and I wouldn't necessarily want all of that shown on my website. I just feel like a lot of this stuff is very private and I don't want to like publicly share everything. So on the website, it's just stuff that I use for branding, for future clients, and this is all the back-end stuff. So this is very special for that particular couple. Next up, when you're sharing everything, you send via email here. So you can compose an email, and this is what your email is going to look like. And again, you can just hide different sections if you don't like them, but I personally enjoy the cover photo. And even though it still has the VidFlow logo here, I will leave the TV banners on here just so the couples know that they can access it on a TV. I wish that there was an option to remove the VidFlow logo from here as well, but unfortunately there's not. So I just type my customized message, and this is where I'll put the password of the gallery as well. So it's all in one place every time the couple goes there, and they have their password and their gallery all linked there. And this is where you can have the name of the recipient and their email address. So once you send out a gallery, you can keep track of it from this email history tab. So if I just click here, I usually will send it to myself. So I have my name up there, and this is the bride here. So it has 3 tabs here: if the email was delivered, if the email was opened, and if the gallery was accessed. And by accessed, it was with the password. So they opened the gallery, they had no issues. So here very quickly, I can tell that the bride was able to get into everything. You can also tell in the videos tab, if you just click on, let's say, the feature film here, you can tell how many times someone played it and how many times they downloaded it and whatnot. And you can do that for every which video, which is a very nice feature. Again, it's good to know that the clients are liking everything and they're watching it on repeat, which is always fun. Adding custom thumbnails is also something that's not behind a paywall, so you can just do that if you just buy the credits, which is a very nice feature. And again, it just adds to the custom experience. So when they open their gallery, they're truly getting something that's unique to them, which I really love. You can very easily preview it for tablets and cell phones as well, and there's a link here to quickly open the gallery in a new tab as well if you want to see what it looks like. So my thoughts on the overall interface. I personally think that it's very well designed. I was able to follow along fairly easily. It's not very hard to keep track of things. You can just open it up and get used to it very quickly, which is always fun. I personally wish there was just a little bit more customizability. Like I would love to custom place the heading somewhere. Like if I wanted to, let's say, put it in that corner there, but you're locked into a lot of the positioning of a lot of things, which isn't ideal, but that's how they've designed things. Everything is just easy to follow along with, and it gives me enough back-end analytics, like how many times something was viewed, if the emails were received, if my gallery was accessed, it was downloaded, stuff like that. So I'm happy with the information I'm getting on the back end, so I don't really have a big problem with that. But overall, everything is just good, smooth, and the experience is easy and great. Up here in the settings tab, this is where you can add your logo and your company name and website and all your socials and stuff like that. So a little bit more customizability there. And with the white labeling pack, you can have your domain name set up here properly. And client space is a thing I was talking about earlier, where your client would have to come in, log in with an account, and they can access their gallery that way. I personally think this is more of a photography feature where a couple might hire a photographer for, let's say, an engagement shoot, wedding shoot, firstborn, or just a bunch of other things like a Christmas shoot or something like that. So it'd be nice for the client to have a bunch of galleries all under one account. But for someone like me, this is pretty much useless for what my needs are, so I don't really use that. Next up, I also want to touch on customer service just for a quick second here, because that can be a huge part of going with a provider or not going with a provider. And I personally have only had to contact their customer service once, and it was simply because I have a custom domain linked with them, and I was switching my domain providers, my hosts. I was going to a different service, so I had to redo a lot of the setup with the new provider. I was able to follow their simple steps the first time around when I set it up, but when I swapped over to this new provider, I tried to do the same steps again, and it said it would take about 48 hours to kind of take effect on the website. I gave it about 48 hours, a little more, but nothing was really changing, and it was pretty much instantaneous the first time I did it. So I reached out to their customer service. I was like, hey, I'm having issues, and it was after hours. It was like 7 o'clock at night, and they got back to me within about an hour and 10 minutes that, hey, we're working on it. And then after another like hour or so at like 9 p.m., they had the issue resolved and it was all figured out. So in my books, that was a huge plus, and even after hours, they were able to get my issue resolved very quickly, and I was super happy about that. And I've also generally heard good things about their customer service online, so I don't really have anything negative to add per se. So final thoughts about VidFlow. I personally think that their credits are pretty well priced, given that they take care of the file management and they make sure it's online for 10 years. I think that's very nice, and if you're just starting out, you should definitely look into it if your business can support it. Typically a gallery only costs me about $10 to $12, and I think that amount is very much justified for just how much of a custom experience you're getting compared to just a Dropbox or a Google Drive. So if you can spare an extra $10 to $12 per client, this is definitely the way to go. If you're someone who's been doing this for a while and is making good money from your business, I don't really think there's an excuse for not using it. You should really not be using Google Drive or Dropbox to deliver wedding films. This is a much superior product, and I do recommend it. The big question being that, is the white labeling add-on worth it? And in my opinion, I ended up going with it, and I personally don't have any regrets. I think it looks professional. I'm okay paying $200 to have my company's logo in the top left, my company's name in the URL. And that, like, I'm okay paying $200 for that. But if you guys can't really afford that with your business, then maybe it's not worth it. It's definitely not worth it. It's definitely a luxury, so I shouldn't even sugarcoat it. But I think it's a luxury that you should definitely consider, because it does look much more professional than just having the VidFlow branding everywhere. But I do wish that VidFlow would do a little bit more to get rid of their branding everywhere if you buy that. Like I mentioned with the TV banners, you still see the VidFlow logo, and I don't really like that very much. So I wish they would do that. But other than that, like I mentioned, it's a luxury, but I think it's a luxury you should strongly consider. All right, guys, that was all I had to share about VidFlow. But if you guys are curious on how I color grade my wedding films, then click on this video right here, and I'll see you guys there.